Hi, this is Eddie Deason. You're listening to Breaking the Fourth Wall. I was Mandark in Dexter's laboratory. Ha 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 ha.
Hey, what's up, guys? Christopher Stolle and Joe Cahill together again for Journal of the Jedi. Joe, how you been?
I have been really well. I got out of California and moved over here to West Texas since the last time I was on.
Now, it has been forever since you've done a Star Wars show. How's it feel to be back? Ready to talk some Star Wars?
I am always ready to talk some Star Wars.
You up to date on everything?
With too many shows going on, I had to take a break.
That's true. Yeah, you had us. You were appearing on War of the Stars every so often, and Lord knows any other ones.
Just the game ones are crazy.
Game one? Oh, you were on some D&D game one or D&D style game, Star Wars games?
Oh yeah, and I'm on a Star Trek game. So my nights are pretty full. I'll be playing Star Trek tomorrow.
Oh, nice. You know what? I know it's a Star Wars show, and this is for Star Wars Podcast Day, but I gotta say it. I gotta ask. I've seen books for it, but I've never seen or heard a Star Trek game. How does that work? Like, I imagine it's almost kind of. I don't mean to shit on Star Trek here, but I mean, like, I almost feel like it would be boring that your character's sitting on the bridge of the ship, and if you're the communicator,
I know the DM that's running. He just limits which characters are available. Okay. So he'll tell you, I have a spot for a captain, I have a spot for a helmsman, a chief engineer, medical officer, and then he kind of cuts out the ones that never get to go do anything anyway. Those are just NPCs that stay on the ship when we do away missions and all that.
All right, so if I join the game and I wind up with a red shirt, I know what's coming.
Exactly. And I'm the ship captain, so you should know it's happening anyway.
Well, right on. Let me go ahead and get this out of the way here before we actually get into the meat and potatoes of the episode here. First and foremost, of course, as I mentioned, this is for Star Wars Podcast Day. You can find us hashtag Star Wars Podcast Day or hashtag SWPD 2022. We're going to have it in the description and everything. It's going to make it easier for you guys to find it. Of course, you could look up Star Wars Podcast Day, the group on Facebook, and this is something I actually learned about that recently that I thought was really interesting. It's the whole entire reason we do this on February 7th or release these on February 7th is it's the 23rd anniversary of Jedi Talk, which was the very first Star Wars related podcast, which premiered back on February 7th, 1999. So that's why Star Wars Podcast Day has become February 7th, an annual event. I thought that was interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise you'd think, well, why isn't it on May the 4th? That celebration.
That would be my first thought. Like, put it on Star Wars Day, or even the following day. I know it's Cinco de Mayo to most people, but for Star Wars fans, it's Revenge of the Sith, or the 5th rather. Yeah. So why not throw it on there? But no, now it makes sense. Now I understand why they're doing it. And of course, the last possible thing I want to throw in there for anybody is, besides checking out Journal of the Jedi here for our Star Wars Podcast Day, make sure you're checking out all the other great shows, man. There's something like, I don't know, 25 or more different Star Wars podcasts that are involved with this Star Wars Podcast Day, including a very close personal friend of ours, Mark Tully and War of the Stars. Make sure you guys are going and checking out their shows.
Yeah, great shows. We both guest on it every once in a while. I was a regular on the show for 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time, and just had to take that break. So coming back to Jedi, and we'll see how I do here again.
So now that we gotten the meat and potatoes out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the dessert, which is Look, I can't think of anything better to talk. I mean, we could talk Mandalorian, we could talk Book of Boba Fett, we could talk about the upcoming Kenobi, but I think just in general, let's just go ahead and talk about the general direction of Star Wars overall. I mean, from 1977 to 2022, we have jumped into a larger galaxy than we ever thought possible.
Absolutely. I mean, then the number of shows that are coming.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that the list is astounding. I know Mark Hamill's been playing some game all week on his Twitter, I believe it was, where he keeps giving clues to some kind of announcement or something tomorrow, which of course is strange to me because, you know, that is the Book of Boba Fett's new episode every week.
Right.
So I'm wondering if somehow Luke is going to be talked about, or to start moving towards the introduction of a Luke-based series.
I would love that.
And Mark happens to be in Vancouver, talking about Hollywood North and filming something.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm kind of on the fence about this. I would love. I mean, God forbid, God bless. You know, Luke was one of my all-time favorite characters as a kid. You know, I loved Darth Vader, but I would dress up as Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like he was my man. To give me the adventures of Luke Skywalker after Return of the Jedi, I mean, I was a fangirl with the season 2 ending of The Mandalorian, but you give me a whole series on it, I'm all for it. I'm 100% in. But, and as much as I love Mark Hamill being a part of it, if they did a full-on series, I think I would want a new actor.
Well, you know, I was thinking, what if it was Luke, Mark Hamill currently, older Luke, reminiscing about the past?
I'd be down for that.
Reviewing his mistakes, and then you've got the only person I think that should be playing Luke, besides Mark Hamill, is Sebastian Stan.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
He looks just almost exactly like a nice young Luke Skywalker.
However, the body double they used for the Mandalorian, he didn't look too terrible. I think with the right makeups, he could probably pull off.
Well, no, because I saw his face. No, he couldn't pull it off. He was in the last episode of Book of Boba Fett. He was the young lieutenant in the X-Wing.
Oh, okay. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, they made a big deal about, you know, he came in from doing Luke Skywalker's body double to now they gave him a cameo in Book of Boba Fett.
Okay.
And yeah, he didn't look at all like Mark Hamill was a young man.
You know what? I finally sat down and watched the Star Wars gallery thing, and my mind was blown from that episode of Mandalorian where he was being chased down by 2 X-Wings while he still had the Razor Crest. And I never realized one of them was Dave Filoni. Till they were talking about it. I said, holy shit, it is him.
Right. Yeah, they like to do that. I think that's really great. You know, Marvel does the same thing, so it's got to be kind of a Disney thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, the whole bringing in Luke Skywalker in Mandalorian and having it so close to Vader's appearance in Rogue One.
Right.
You know, the way he marched right through the armies and the troops, and now you've got Luke doing the same thing.
Which, to be fair, I think that's a great homage to George Lucas's way of thinking with the franchise in general. Is he always said that it's poetry. It always rhymes itself. So if you put Vader's hallway scene with Luke's appearance in The Mandalorian side by side, it is a perfect rhyme to each other.
Oh, right. Throwing the one up onto the roof, slicing it.
Mm-hmm. To crushing that dark trooper with the Force, Force choke maneuver.
I loved it. I was so excited for that episode. And you know what? I'm enjoying Book of Boba Fett. I know it's taken a lot of trash, but people aren't seeing it for what it's for. He's trying to basically remake himself and not respond as the old bounty hunter self.
I'm right there with you. Like when I reviewed the last couple episodes up until this recent one, the Mandalorian Returns, when I reviewed my thoughts on Book of Boba Fett, I I rode the fence. I gave it a 5 out of 10, arbitrary scoring. And the reason being that I gave it is like what we've gotten so far is fine, but I understand it's a slow burn, and I really get kind of like a Godfather vibe out of the show.
Mhm.
And for people that may not be fans of Godfather, which, what have you been living under a rock or something? Godfather took a lot of time to build up to the crescendo, to the what everything was supposed to be happening. I get that vibe from Boba Fett. That's why I rode the fence, because I'm like, if they don't do anything with it, then yeah, this show's weak. But if they're doing what I think they're doing and going the Godfather, Goodfellas type way with a criminal backstory and everything else, and his rise to power as the new major domo of Jabba's empire, shit's gonna take off at some point.
Right, and they've come close a couple of times. I mean, they showed him lose his temper with the assassins that came after him and Finnick.
Right.
When he broke out, he rocketed the one dude and just blew him apart. And then you kind of see in his face, it's kind of like, oh, that's not who I am anymore. And it made me think of Vader immediately saying, no disintegration.
Disintegrations, yeah. That was a great callback.
That guy just exploded. And of course, Finnick is just an awesome character.
I'll be honest, though. I did state this in my review, and I'll get your opinion on this, too. I think Boba Fett is a perfect platform to start bringing in some of the other characters that people have always wanted to see more of from the seedy underside of Star Wars, or at least see a live action version of in the seedy side of Star Wars. And of course, I'm talking about people like Bosk, have him show back up, and some of the other ones from Empire Strikes Back. However, I think it would be a completely missed opportunity. Completely, if we do not see an appearance of like Cad Bane or Hodo. Holdor. Fuck, Game of Thrones ruined that name for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? One of those characters finally appear in live action. And quite honestly, especially with Hodo, my mind, I can't think of anybody else in my mind to give a live action Hodo.
Well, I thought it was great that they brought in Black Stan.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying, like, I think a Johnny Depp playing Hodo would be phenomenal. I'm just thinking like alien Jack Sparrow.
And then in one of the background scenes inside the cantina that Boba Fett keeps going to, you actually got to see the guy and girl from the cut scene on the original Star Wars 77.
Right.
The Tosh Station. Tosh Station. They're in there, and I'd have to check, but I think it was the original two people that played them.
Could have been.
And I know that's another good thing that Disney does like to do, and Lucasfilm has obviously got no problem with it. Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think we're going to get to see, from what I'm hearing, a lot more legends being brought into canon.
Well, I definitely know we're getting a live action Thrawn in the Ahsoka series.
Right.
Which, if we're getting Thrawn, more than likely we're also going to see Ezra finally appear live action from Rebels. The
rumor I heard was Mara Jade.
But she won't be Luke's wife.
Well, we don't know that. Could she have been one of the Jedi that died during Kylo Ren's rant?
Possible, but I think if you go to which I'm not sure if it's canon or not, but the novelization of Last Jedi, they mentioned that Luke, they have a scene where Luke is talking to his wife, and it's not Mara Jade, and then another scene where basically it's rumored that, like, in the movie, that stone sitting next to Luke when Rey goes to try to hand the lightsaber to him was actually the headstone of his wife. So if that's canon, and I'm not sure if the novelization is canon, but if that is canon, then Luke was married to somebody else.
Right.
So
we're just going to have to see what they pull off. Mara is very easy to bring in now with Thrawn.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Since, they were both introduced together in the same novel of Legends.
I would love to see, even if she's not Luke's wife, I would love to see the Hand of the Emperor come in.
Oh, absolutely. That would be an awesome thing They could even go with the original part of the storyline before they fell in love, where she was just hunting him based on the instruction she kept hearing through the Force from Palpatine. Kill Luke Skywalker.
You know, if I were a writer, since we're cherry picking in a Legends character, but we're not going to put her in the same timeline, the same way as they kind of did with Thrawn, because Thrawn was not in the Legends series. He was not in the same era as Rebels. You know, for example, like at least as far as when he came to power and became such a threat.
That's taken care of now. Zahn has released like 5 or 6 more Thrawn books.
Right.
With Disney's and Lucasfilm's help on kind of where they wanted to go. And it is bringing him in just basically after the Republic.
Right. Well, no, I'm saying he was there during that time, but like when we first got introduced to him in Heir to the Jedi was 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and then when we bring him in Rebels, it's right before the rise of the rebellion. You know, so you know, even though we cherry picked and kind of made the exact same character, we put him in a kind of different timeline in the new canon. I would almost say, for that argument, I would almost say I wouldn't need Mara Jade as Luke's wife. I wouldn't need her hunting Luke right after Return of the Jedi. I would almost take, like you said, the Hand of the Emperor, or somebody who was a Emperor sympathizer, or even First Order sympathizer, because the Emperor was still alive during the sequel trilogy, as we've learned. Why not have her avenging Palpatine, going after Rey? Oh. Then you have 2 strong female characters. She could be the new female Sith for Rey to face.
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing. Definitely, I know they say that the Skywalker saga's over, but they wasted Rey. You know, except for the lightsaber scenes, once she learned how to use it. Then she became kind of a badass. But as far as character development, they wasted that character, in my opinion. There should have been much more character development. They had too many people that they were trying to make almost leads.
And unfortunately, a lot of them fell by the wayside. Like I know there was a story arc where Finn, which a lot of people have argued with, that Finn was supposed to become a Jedi, and Finn was also supposed to become a love interest to Rey, and they completely, well, let's call it what it is, Rian Johnson completely screwed that. He screwed the pooch on that. And I'm not shitting on Last Jedi. I'm just, the biggest problem with the sequel trilogy, nobody knew what the fuck they were doing on a cohesive story arc. If you would have gotten Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to write the overall arc, beginning, middle, end, and just let the directors and actors work off of that, as long as they hit these beats, it would have been a lot better trilogy.
Because you just had, every film was a different feel.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you go back to the original trilogy, and it was cohesive, and it wasn't even designed to be a trilogy. I mean, that's what's amazing, is how well George Lucas, even when he brought in a new director for number 2, he basically said, "This is the story. Now make it work."
Right.
You know, and that made the whole thing cohesive and well thought out, and the characters got development, and they kept it to basically, you know, Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, and the 2 droids.
Right.
With Vader getting the bad guy trope.
So you find the puppet master pulling Vader's strings, which was Palpatine, and you got a tease of him in Empire, but then you finally got him full on in Jedi.
Right. And still not until later in the film.
Right.
They tell you he's coming, but they don't do it right away. And that's how you do a film. You keep your number of main characters small. I mean, we had BB-8, we had Poe, we had Finn, we had Rose, oh, by the way, we're going to have Leia, we're going to have this other admiral who sacrifices herself, and and Luke Skywalker's back, and then we got Rey finally. It just was so many characters to try and keep track of, and then they look like they're going to do a development, and it disappeared.
Well, let me ask you this. This would be a great topic of conversation. Get your opinion on this. Again, 45 years of Star Wars. Lucas gave us 6 movies. He gave us a 2D Clone Wars, and then of course the most celebrated show of all time was obviously the Clone Wars, the 3D Clone Wars, from movie to 6 seasons at that point, before Lucasfilm sold to Disney and was taken over by Kathleen Kennedy and all that. And then when we come to the Disney era, I'm going to call it the Disney era. I know it's still Lucasfilm, but I'm going to call it the Disney era Star Wars, just for clarification. You got Lucas and you got Disney. With the Disney era, we had 3, I don't want to say disappointments, because I did enjoy the sequel trilogies, but holding them up to the original 6, they fall short. You know what I mean? So
I wanted something more original, and each one was way too much of A New Hope, Empire, Jedi.
Right.
They should have been standalone. Okay, here's the character you want, build her up, but don't just rewrite the original trilogy. So what was the rest of it?
So yeah, we had those 3 disappointing endings, and I hate to use the term disappointing, because again, I enjoyed them for what they were, but if I were to compare them to the original trilogy, they fell short. But then we also got Rogue One. We also got Solo. We also got Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian and a 7th season of the Clone Wars. We got Rebels. We got the disappointing Resistance. We got the, in my opinion, disappointing Visions. But we've gotten so much, and that's not even to mention the comic books, the new novels and everything else. Overall, in your opinion, with everything I just said about the Disney era of Star Wars, how optimistic are you moving forward that maybe they're starting to get the idea of what Star Wars is, in the sense of The Mandalorian's a big hit, Boba Fett should be a big hit. Like I said, Visions was kind of a disappointment, but they for everybody shitting on the sequel trilogy, we've had some great things pop up in this Disney era too. And how optimistic are you for the future of Star Wars based on what we've gotten thus far?
Well, I think that they've really hit the mark with the live action television.
Right.
Bringing live action to TV. Not even Lucas. Well, Lucas attempted that once. We do not discuss that Christmas special.
but we're still allowed to discuss the Ewok movies, right?
No, not really. But as far as that's going, they're doing really well. And it's almost making me feel like they're taking that from their Marvel side of the house on how to do the series thing. I really want to hear more about movies coming out as well. I mean, Rogue Squadron's been put on hold.
Right.
That's the movie I've been really looking forward to. Let's watch a movie about fighter pilots. And
kind of a Star Wars Top Gun. Yeah.
Right. And I still think the smartest thing they could do with that is make it, current times after Last Jedi and all of that, and make it Wedge's Squadron again.
Okay.
Since we got to see him,
would you want? Do you think the actor would want to come back?
I'm not sure, because he gave his own nephew the advice of don't do it, to joining the Star Wars universe.
Right.
I am looking forward. We got Kenobi coming out shortly. That one I am very much looking forward to.
You know what? As much as I'm looking forward to Kenobi and Ewan McGregor reprising his role, I think I'm more excited for Hayden Christensen donning the Vader outfit again.
Yeah, that has been awesome that they healed that rift.
Yeah, to me, it's like a second chance for him.
Yeah, and it's not like he was a bad actor. No matter how good an actor you are, they hand you really bad lines.
Yeah, he had bad dialogue.
Yeah, there's just nothing you can do with it.
So to me, I'm extra thrilled for Hayden donning the cape and helmet again.
Right, and we're gonna get some good flashbacks, I think, of even them in the pre-Vader days.
Right.
That we never got to see in the films themselves, which has me excited. Hayden's a pretty good actor. I've seen him in other things, and I've enjoyed his acting. So I am just absolutely thrilled that they have healed that rift between him and Star Wars and brought him back. And he and Ewan did have a great chemistry.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with Revenge of the Sith. Like a lot of people may not know this unless you're like a deep Star Wars fan. The Battle of Mustafar, the lightsaber battle between Ewan and Hayden, there was very minimal special. Like in the background, of course, there was all CGI and shit, but the sword fight itself was very little CGI. That was them practicing 8 hours a day for 40 days on that one fight, so they can give the best lightsaber, in my opinion, the best lightsaber performance of the whole entire saga.
Oh, I still like Maul's.
Maul's was good, but
that's one thing I have to say. The 3, 1, 2, and 3 just did an incredible job on. We're bringing lightsaber battles to a whole new level.
Right.
I mean, of course, you've seen the video of what we wish we'd got between Obi-Wan and Vader on the Death Star.
Which, by the way, was a phenomenal video.
Oh, wasn't it though? Yeah, I've seen that. So if you just look it up, you'll find it online. It is an amazing video. Yes, you could tell they're both a little older, but they're both still expert swordsmen.
Right.
And still powerful Jedis. So, I mean, it's, Jedi Sith.
Well, I'll put it to you this way, and I know some people may look at this as like a little blasphemous, but I would say this, of that video, if you were to edit it into a new special edition of A New Hope,
it would just
I wouldn't complain about it. I really wouldn't. I mean, I enjoyed the original Star Wars A New Hope, of course, and the lightsaber battle, obviously the weakest of the saga, but at the same time, there was an emotional punch to it that has always resonated with me. It's part of the reason I'm a Star Wars fan to begin with. But if they did release a new special edition of A New Hope and they took out the original scenes and put this fan-made edited thing in there, I wouldn't complain. I really would.
Perfect, because they put Alec Guinness in the exact right spots to make it flow through. Including right up to Luke running across the field and seeing him and watching him go down.
Right.
Huh. Now you're making me think about getting out my editing software. Getting an good digital versions of both and editing that in.
Just edit out the Jabba scene at the Millennial Falcon. I mean, that should have never seen the light of day.
No. I mean, Jabba was so tiny.
He was so tiny, and that janky having Han walk on his tail because the original footage had Han walking around the actor. Right. Yeah, so like, so just step on his tail. No, edit that out. That could go away.
And he's got all his gunmen there, and he's going to allow that. Mm-hmm. Well, you already screwed up my shipment, so now you're going to insult me. Shoot him.
Right. Especially Boba standing there.
Kill the Wookiee.
But
well, and Boba being thrown in there was not necessary either.
No, not at all.
Because Boba was around because he brought Solo to collect the bounty.
Well, you know what? I'm going to give credit to something that nobody gives credit to, and I'm going to state it because of all the Boba Fett fans. Now, I've made it clear throughout the years, I am not one of those bandwagon jumpers for Boba Fett. Boba Fett was a background character to me. He had 5 lines. One of them was, ah! I never understood the appeal of Boba Fett from the original trilogy. However, I understand the fans' appeal to him. They thought he was a cool character and everything else. It's part of the reason why Jango Fett exists in the prequel trilogy, to give a backstory to Boba. That's why Book of Boba Fett is now revamping the character and giving him a second lease on life. I get it, but I got to give credit where credit's due, and it's going to piss off every Star Wars fan. And you know me, I love to be controversial, so I'm going to piss everybody off anyway. Thank the holiday special, because without it, Boba Fett would not have existed.
Yep.
So deal with Grandpa Chewbacca jerking off to virtual reality porn and some of the really shitty cooking shows that they did in the bar scene and everything else in the holiday special. If it wasn't for the holiday special, you never would have gotten that first cartoon that introduced Boba Fett, which brought him into the Star Wars universe.
Right. Which was on purpose.
Yeah, it was the only thing you could take away from it.
You know, Lucas put him there on purpose because it was a quick flash of one of the new characters for
Empire.
And you know, and they played him perfect on the bridge of the Star Destroyer.
Right.
You know, the no disintegrations as you wish. That's like great concept. Although, you know, if you think in the Princess Bride, he's telling Vader, "I love you," as you wish.
Yeah, exactly. Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist. Could you imagine Boba taking them on?
Oh, that wouldn't be pretty. Yeah,
actually,
I think
since we're on the subject of Boba, I just out of curiosity, I know tomorrow, well, as of recording tomorrow, the new Boba Fett episode comes out. So as of this recording, the latest episode was the Return of the Mandalorian. I'm curious, as a Star Wars fan and you watching Boba, was that kind of a slap in the face to you to just get a Mandalorian episode?
Yeah, somewhat. It would be, your ratings aren't, almost like your ratings weren't good. Although these were filmed well before the premiere of the first episode.
Right.
You know, the season was ready to go, and they've just been releasing them to us one at a time. I gotta say, they need to give her a movie.
Her who?
Opie's daughter. The
Opie's
director.
daughter.
The director.
Oh, yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard.
Right, Bryce. They need to give her a movie. So here's a script. Can you go make a Star Wars movie for us? Because that was better than a lot of the Mandalorian episodes.
Right.
It just flowed so smoothly. And you know, and I'm going to tick off a lot of Mandalorian fans. I keep seeing all of these fans, well, isn't his armor also, you know, made of the metal? The Beskar.
Beskar,
No, it's not. Most Mandalorians aren't wearing Beskar armor.
He went and collected the Beskar to make his armor, yeah.
Right. And if you look, you know, he didn't paint up that Beskar. He's letting everybody see that's what it is.
Right.
Just a lot of that people get off all Mandalorians are wearing Beskar. It was stolen from Mandalore. That was one of the whole points of the Empire going in there. Was they wanted it for their own purposes.
Right.
So remember that. Now they can all be mad at me too.
The two things that stood out to me, and there was a lot of things in that episode that stood out the most, or a lot of things that stood out, but the two things that stood out the most to me was the humor in this episode, especially with like the Mandalorian having to check his weapons before boarding a commercial flight. You know, right. I thought that was absolutely hilarious, and then getting a ticket, you know, to get his ship back. But the other thing that really stood out was that Terminator-esque flashback scene of the bombing of Mandalore by the Empire and the march of the K2 series droids and shit. Like that was I didn't expect to see a scene like that on a small screen TV show.
Right, and just the executions of the Mandos that are laying on the ground and just walking up. Oh, he's still breathing. Bunk. No, he's not. That was awesome.
But
And
to be honest, there was a couple things where I sat there and I'm like, they straight stole it. The ring city, that was Halo. That was a Halo ring from the game, you know. And even the scene, like I said, as much
Halo stole it from a series of books written way back in the 60s called Ringworld.
okay. But then also, like I said, that scene that stood out most in my mind, I mean, you know, I called it what it was. It was a Terminator flashback. That was
Right.
Terminators walking on skulls.
The other one you pointed out where he's, taking off his weapons, that's Lord of the Rings.
True.
Before being admitted to the presence of the king.
Yeah.
King of King of
Rohan. I'll just say Rohan.
When they're all just whipping out weapon after weapon after weapon. And that's been used in several different films over the years.
Well, for final point, let's throw in the speculation here. A lot of Book of Boba Fett right now, which is the current thing for Star Wars. A lot of Book of Boba Fett right now is centering around the Darksaber, which we know Din right now, the Mandalorian, is the rightful owner of. But overall, obviously, we're going to see at some point that is going to go into somebody else's hands. Do you think it will go to Bo-Katan? Or do you think what I'm starting to think, which I hope they don't because I think it would be cheap, but do you think it'll wind up in the hands of Boba?
It better not wind up in the hands of Boba. I think with Boba's redemption arc, and I'm thinking that's also the same reason the Darksaber is such a problem for Jin, is it's not a nice weapon.
Right.
And I think it needs somebody with a much darker purpose. That's why, what's his name, who had it, the Moff,
Gideon,
he didn't seem to suffer any ill effects of using it, or more weight or anything.
Well, he was also not a Jedi warrior or anything either. One thing that even Din and Sabine in Star Wars Rebels, when she carried it, you know, they all had issues with it because they weren't Jedi. Jedi are trained to use lightsabers. Anybody who's non-Jedi just kind of swings it around like a stick. You know what I mean? Jedis are the ones that know the finesse and the techniques of a Jedi battle, which is why I loved when Din showed up in that meatpacking plant, and then later on when he was training with the other Mandalorians, he was just wildly swinging. I mean, he even cut his own leg with it because he had no idea how to use it, and the fact that it was heavy, but he has no idea how to use it, even if it was a normal lightsaber instead of the Darksaber.
Yeah. Now, one last thought for me. Do you think getting the present for Grogu made is giving us a hint towards season 3 of Mandalorian, or do you think it'll come into play in these last few episodes or last couple episodes of Boba?
Well, with you giving the earlier the thing about Mark Hamill kind of hinting towards shit happening tomorrow, I do think Grogu's going to show up in Book of Boba Fett. I think that's going to be a short burn, but it's going to have a long-term play in season 3. So I think we're going to see Luke and Grogu tomorrow, and he's going to have the chance to give whatever that gift is. I'm thinking it's going to be, you know, one of those Mandalorian emblem. I forget what the creature's called. Like Boba has on his shoulder and shit like that. I think it's going to be one of them, or maybe the mud horn that symbol that Din has on his armor into a little necklace. And I think,
well, they used the whole spear. That was quite a bit of metal.
Well, you got the chain and everything else.
It's kind of a chainmail.
Maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised if Grogu doesn't come up becoming the next Mandalore. You know, who was the original wielder of the Darksaber, who was both Mandalorian and Jedi. I think they're setting up for Grogu. Maybe they're setting up for a series for Grogu where he's kind of a Mandalorian Jedi.
Well, and we got Bo-Katan's series coming. So that's another one.
Right.
I mean, there's so many routes that this one could go. I am actually very pleased with the whole Mandalorian expansion.
I'm right there with you because in the original Star Wars lore, I wasn't a big Mandalorian fan. Like the character, the race of Mandalorians to me were, okay, there's got to be a warlight race. I get it, whatever. But I never really cared. I was more interested in the Jedi. I was more interested in the Sith. I was more interested in the Rebels versus the Empire. I really didn't care all that much about the Mandalorians. But even Book of Boba Fett has me more invested in the lore of the Mandalorian.
And they've done a great job with casting.
Absolutely. I mean, even non-Mandalorian. I mean, yeah, of course you got the actors that are portraying the Mandalorians like Bo and Din and especially what's his face, Katie Sackhoff, and especially what's his face, who's reprising his role as basically clone Django.
Right. And Fennec, just the main characters have all been phenomenal at being chosen, who they chose to play those roles.
Right, but even afterwards, like how many of us for years have stated that if ever there was a live action Ahsoka, it's got to be Rosario Dawson, and they gave it to us.
We discussed that for the Stars when you and I were both back on that show.
Yep,
we brought that. Who would be the perfect one?
And were we wrong?
He called that one. John could probably Mark could probably find that episode for us.
Probably.
Say, hey, guys, I remember this now. I've been extremely pleased with who they've picked to play. I had something else I was going to add, and we got into the Ahsoka part of the conversation, right. That kind of threw my mind off.
Was it something along the lines of like this? Because I was thinking this too. Like even unlike the sequel trilogy, I would say the casting of even the background or like one episode, if you will, characters don't feel wasted. I mean, Bill Burr as the jilted Jedi turned, or not Jedi, stormtrooper turned mercenary. Some of the other characters, the IG-88, which at first I'm like, that looks clunky as fuck, but it served a major purpose. Like it doesn't feel like any characters are wasted in. Yeah,
you got to find out just what an IG-88 can do. I mean, when it just unloaded on the stormtroopers, it's like, well, dang, it's a good thing there's not two of them. The stormtroopers would have lost. But yeah, this, I think the Disney era is finally settling into what it should be. They are taking more advice from other people, not just Kennedy, which is making a huge difference.
Right.
Bringing in people like Bryce Dallas to direct. It's been the most popular episode of, both series by rating. Mandalorian or Boba.
Right.
So it was everybody's like, oh, give her her own movie, give her a trilogy. They're like going nuts over her. And she's talented. I'll grant her that in both acting and directing. I wish I could remember what I was going to say because it was going to be controversial, and I love to do that.
Well, you never know. If I could ever pull you back on, maybe we'll have that conversation in the future.
Yeah, well, maybe you and I should consider, bringing back Journal as a more regular thing with both of us. Since
you got the time
alone,
you got the time. We could definitely do it.
Yeah. So, what we should do is do the shows on Saturday, the D&D show, and then after everybody else exits, we just go on.
We could do that. Absolutely. So you heard it here first, guys. Journal of Jedi will come back. We're going to hash it out. Give us a couple weeks to figure it out. And you might start getting more and more episodes of Journal of Jedi here very, very soon.
Hey, some of our players might even stick around from the D&D game. Hey, Max, fun.
You know what we should do the next break from Legends of the Forgotten Gods? Is actually do a Star Wars RPG run.
Yeah. I think I have the books from the original ones back in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
The role-playing game.
Well, now we know who the game master is.
Yeah. I'm about to start game mastering a game over there on. Did you? I saw you on Goat. Ray's new thing.
I wasn't on that.
I could have swore I saw your name go across a feed. Yeah, it's GOAT Gaming Syndicate. We're
Nah,
on.
knew nothing about it. The last time I interacted with Ray in the gaming world was when we did the one-off special with the Shattered Dungeons crew.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we did a Christmas episode one-off campaign for them back when Ray was still doing the Chronicles of the Lost Realm for us. And that was the last gaming interaction I've had with Ray.
Well, you guys and you check it out. It's over on Discord.
Okay.
It's a whole group of DMs that running different games. I'm getting ready to start one on a game system. A buddy of mine pretty much created the entire lore and history for, called the Dynasty Flight Service. And guess what? It's about fighter pilots.
Ooh, cool.
And you get to be the fighter pilots.
Well, actually, I've got 2 game systems sitting down here. I've been reading the rules for. That's the word I was looking for. That I thought about bringing in eventually when we get tired of Legends. One of which is just D&D Light. It's Pathfinder. Of course. But I also have its science fiction equivalent. I have Starfinder.
Oh, okay.
Or not Starfinder. I think it is Starfinder. Yeah. Which that one I'm really interested in running a campaign for because to me it feels like a Mass Effect / Star Wars world.
Cool. So come join us on Goat, man. We have a lot of fun. So
you never know. I might pop up one day.
It's all over the place now. It's growing fast. So I think there's a dozen games being run right now.
Right on. I'd definitely check that out. I mean, you guys should definitely check that out. And also, Joe, what else are you involved with? Anything in particular? How's the world outside of podcasting?
Well, I believe Night Mistress, my feature film that I co-produced, is finally going to be coming out.
Nice.
The executive producer has been hinting lately, so we're real excited about that. Submitting a new script to the studio to see if they're interested. The Last Battleship, so I'm sending in a synopsis on that. And started work on The Fifth Legion.
Nice.
Is a sci-fi Earth invasion film.
Do I get a role in this one? I'll be in the background as a janitor cleaning up the spilled coffee.
Well, no, it's a bad invasion. It's so bad that humans do something they probably shouldn't have done, but it's their only chance to defeat the invaders. That's where that one's going to go.
I'm not going to ask because I don't want to spoil anything.
So if you guys interested what I've got going on, I don't post a lot lately, but Steamhouse Entertainment over on Facebook or Joe Cahill, director, producer.
Excellent. And of course, guys, if you enjoyed this podcast in any capacity, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, comment, share, subscribe, check out all the other great podcasts of Breaking the Fourth Wall Entertainment. And of course, go over to the Chris Stolle Show channel and check out my own personal podcasts. They're a little bit more racy or a little bit more edgy than what we do here. But at the same time, as long as you're not squeamish or easily offended, go check it out. And
or an adult.
What's that?
Or being an adult.
Or being an adult. And go check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. I hope it's thought-provoking conversation. And of course, guys, if you prefer your podcast in audio-only format, we got you covered. Just check out Breaking the Fourth Wall Entertainment on Anchor, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, or wherever quality podcasts can be heard. And again, real quick, I just want to thank not only Joe Cahill for coming back on. I'm excited that he wants to co-host again with Journal of Jedi. That's going to be a great thing. I'd love to do that again. And of course, I want to thank Star Wars Podcast Day. You guys started this off last year. We were blessed to be a part of it and to be asked to come back. There was no way I could refuse and say no. So thank you very much for having us on again. And guys, May the Force be with you, and we will catch you on the next Journal of the Jedi.
Long live the Empire.
Long live the Empire.